According to the National Association of Realtors, 87% of people who get a real estate license end up failing within 5 years. 87%. I want to make sure that you don't end up being a statistic, that you, if you're considering getting in the real estate business or you already are in the real estate business, that you have the keys to success to be one of the 13% who succeed and have a thriving career in real estate. So today in this video, I'm going to give you the 5 tips, the 5 things that I consider to be the most important things to keep in mind in order to have a really successful career in real estate. Before I share my tips with you, I want to make sure that you know that I know where you're at. I spent much of my career, in fact, 7 years, the first 7 years of my career, I was selling under 10 homes a year. And this was way back in the day when houses were selling for like $100,000 a year. So barely making a living, considering quitting, looked many times at getting a job and just getting out of the industry altogether. I was super frustrated, super burned out, working a ton, making very little money, working with clients I didn't like. It was a rough road. So I was very much in danger of becoming one of the 87% of people who end up bailing out of this industry and failing. And there were a few things that really changed the game for me. A couple revelations, a couple things I realized and figured out. And now, you know, all these years later, we'll sell almost 500 homes this year. I've got teams in a couple different states, and it's incredible, way beyond my wildest dreams. And as I really look back on what helped me to succeed, and then what also helped all the other agents I know who are super successful, including the ones on my team and a part of my brokerage that I get to coach on a regular basis, like what is it about the ones that really succeed? I've definitely seen several different commonalities for the people who do the best in this industry. The first tip I have for you is to seriously consider the fact that 87% of the people who try this fail. That is a gigantic failure rate. And if you really take that seriously, you really stop and think about it and realize that you're much more likely to fail than you are to succeed, I think that realization, staring that in the face, can really help you to analyze, is this something you really want? Like, do you really want this? Is this like in your soul, something you're excited about, you're fired up, you have a passion and a drive, like you really want to succeed? A big part of the difference between people who fail succeed is that the people really want it and they really go for it, tend to have much better success rate. Another thing to consider as you reflect on the failure rate here is, how much time do you have for this? The people who are part-time, I don't even know what the statistics are for those people. That's much higher who fail. Like, do you have the time and energy to put into this? Now, you can still have another job and start real estate. I've seen people succeed in that way. They tend to have some other things in their favor. It's tough. And if that job has a lot of flexibility, meaning you can kind of work when you want and whatever, that helps a lot because you never know when someone's going to want to go see a house, go check something out. So having that flexibility of time and availability of time is really critical. And then having some cash reserves, right? You're not going to make any money right away. You are going to have a little bit of time before you get a paycheck. And that's assuming you actually do well and get a deal closed. You're talking about at least 45 days. That's if things go like perfect, right? So really think about this. Think about the fact that it's going to be tough to succeed. And if you think about that and you reflect on it and you still decide, yep, I'm in, I think you'll come at it with a lot more force and a lot more vigor. And those people tend to do really, really well. My second tip is to make sure you do not do this alone. Most agents should start out with either a real estate team, joining a team, or joining a coaching program. Like 99% of people should be in one of those two things, and a lot of people should be in both. Because the big difference, what changed everything for me, was when I joined a coaching program. I spent 7 years floundering, trying to figure it out on my own, and then joined a coaching program that changed everything. I realized, like, oh my gosh, there's people who know how to do this. In my day, the teams weren't as big then, so it wasn't as prevalent. So coaching was really the thing. And holy cow, to be in a room full of people who were thriving and succeeding and standing up on stage and sharing their best tips and tricks was so valuable. It made all the difference in the world. And you really do have two different paths here. Coaching is one, and typically you're just going to pay for that. There's lots of different coaching programs that are helpful. And then teams is another one. And with teams, you're going to have a split. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to sell some houses in partnership with a real estate team like I run. And that team is going to take a percentage of the commission at closing in return for the training and the services and all the resources they provide. Often they're going to provide leads, like actual people for you to call back and go sell houses to. So they're going to take a cut from you. So both are fantastic strategies. They have kind of different pros and cons. I'm not going to get super into that in this video, but do not do this alone. That's the most critical thing, is you cannot expect to do this alone and be successful. You will have a much harder time. So go find a coaching program, find a team to join. And a couple quick tips on that. Simple strategy for finding a great program or a great team is asking people who are there and are doing it. So find some people, testimonies from people, and ideally talk to them, interview them, who are doing well, who are really happy with the services they're providing they're receiving from their team or with the coaching program, and who are happy to endorse it. You get 3 or 4 people like that who are in a situation similar to yours, and you can feel a lot more confident that you're making a good choice, giving away some of that hard-earned income to some people who are going to help you scale up your business. So whatever you do, don't do this alone. My third tip is maybe the most important one, and that is you need to make sure that what you are learning is actually showing up on your calendar. So execution, like what you do every day, what you spend your time on, is very often the difference between success and failure. Pretty easy to figure out what to do, right? YouTube, Google, whatever, it's not that hard. It's coming up with a system and a plan and an accountability for yourself to actually do those things in a systematic, strategic, and consistent way. And I found that many real estate coaching programs did not have a good plan for this. So I went searching elsewhere, right? I went looking for the productivity gurus, the time management books, all that stuff is where I kind of coddled together my system for what I do every day and how I was able to be standing on the stage a couple years after I joined the coaching program instead of just sort of wandering around the halls wondering what to do. And I've actually created a plan, a program, a course for agents to do this very thing. I've kind of summarized all the different stuff that I've learned and put it into a program. It's called the Productive Agent Daily Success Blueprint. And I'll put a link to that down in the notes if you want to check that out. It walks you through a 90-day plan to help you add 2 sales per month to your sales pipeline. And I just wanted to provide a system for my agents to know what to do every single day, a day in and a day out. Because at the end of the day, the difference between success and failure is what shows up on your calendar. All right, my fourth tip is that you need to keep in mind that most of your business will come from your friends and your family, your sphere of influence. More than half of most agents' business is coming from people they know, associations and connections. That's important to keep in mind for a couple of reasons. One, if you just moved to some new town, it's going to be a lot harder. You're going to have to focus on, at a whole different level, on networking and growing your connections and growing your sphere of influence because you're brand new. If you've been in the place you live for 20 years and you've got lots of great friends and associations with different churches or organizations, community groups, that's going to make it much, much easier for you. So keep that in mind as you're considering a career in real estate. And also, along with that, you've got to decide that your sphere of influence, your friends, your family are open season for business, right? So I have this, I run into these people who are like, I don't want to mix business with pleasure. You cannot have that mindset in real estate. You've got to just decide that my friends and my family are my business. And if you're going to have a hard time with that, if you're not going to feel comfortable calling your friends and family and asking them for business, this is probably not the career for you because it is such a significant amount of your business, such a big portion. You just can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to go after those people. I was sitting at dinner parties early in my career, handing my phone over to people to ask them to write Yelp reviews for me and Google reviews. I mean, there was no place was off guards, right? I mean, I went for it. And that is the kind of attitude and the kind of mindset that will help you to be successful as you grow your sphere and your personal business. So make sure you keep that in mind. If you're not, real open to the idea of being very forward with your business, this might be something that isn't for you. In addition to having to be very forward with your friends and family, you also have to tell them a lot that you're in the business. People are living their lives, right? They've got stuff going on. They're busy, whatever. They're doing their thing. They are not thinking about you. They have lives of their own. And so you have to tell them over and over and over again that you're in the business. Lots of different ways. We send postcards and emails and mailers and just verbally calling and talking and inviting them to events. So keep in mind as well with your sphere of influence that it's not okay just to tell them once that you're in real estate. This needs to be a constant part of your dialogue with all of your friends, family, all your connections, that they know without a shadow of a doubt that if they've got a friend or a family member who's looking to buy or sell a home, you are their person. All right, my last tip is that in addition to your sphere of influence, you're going to need another source of business. Typically, you're going to need one more lead channel, we call it, one more way for people to know and to get a hold of you as a real estate agent. Now, you could have 50, right? And at my size, my team's size, we have lots of lead sources. But my real strong suggestion here is 2 things. 1 is focus, and 2 is consistency. Pick a thing that will be your second source of business. So focus mostly on your sphere of influence, right? And then secondly, you want to focus on that one extra lead source. And I generally recommend open houses. Open houses are fantastic because they don't cost you very much money at all. You got to buy some signs and that's about it. Those people are hand raisers. They're at least at some level interested in taking a look at a house and possibly buying a home. So they're a little more predisposed than just like a random person on the street to purchase a home. And you can get good at them pretty quickly. Again, back to the focus and consistency idea. If you did 30 open houses in 30 days, you would get good at them. You would figure out what you're doing that's wrong, what you say that works. You would over time test and try different things. What day of the week is the best? Where is the best place to put the signs? You're just going to get better because you're practicing that one thing. Whereas if you did like one new different thing every single day for 30 days, you wouldn't be learning much. And so that consistency and that focus can be gigantic in terms of shortening your learning curve. I also have a video I did on what I would do my first 30 days if I was starting over as a real estate agent. So I'll put that in the link below. But the short summary of that is I would do open houses and I would talk about it a lot on social media. I would document all these open houses I would do. In fact, I would probably do, I didn't say this in the video, but I'll say it now. What I would probably do is a 30 open houses in 30 days challenge and talk about it all the time on social media and make sure that everyone knew I was doing it. And I would make it fun and funny and, oh man, this one didn't go so good and that one went great. I think that would be a great way for you to learn an area very quickly and to make a big splash in a short period of time. So be sure you're thinking through strategically, what are you going to add in terms of a lead source? There's a million different ways to make that decision. Back to the coaching and team idea of like get some wisdom and some help on this. But pick that one thing, do it with focus and consistency, and you're much more likely to succeed in your career. So I hope these top 5 tips have helped you today to consider and really thoughtfully think about what is it that you're taking on? Is this a career for you? Is this something that makes a lot of sense? If you keep these things in mind, and these are not just for beginners or rookies, these ideas have stood the test of time. This is stuff that I'm teaching my teammates today, including people who've been doing this for a long time. Like these principles are the things that I think have really been the through line for all the different agents who I've seen be very successful and who've been very successful. And they're a big part of my success too. So hopefully these help. I am here to help as well. If you've got any questions, please drop those in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer those. And please do subscribe and click that little notification bell here on the YouTube channel. That helps us out a lot, and make sure you don't miss out on the next video.